Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting of Wednesday, May 27th, 2015. May we have a roll call, please?
Noted for the record that all commissioners are present with the exception of Commissioner Coates and Commissioner Wilkes, and those are excused absences.
Thank you. Would everyone stand, please, for the president? Flag. Thanks. We'll go to public comments portion of the meeting, and public comments is an opportunity to address the Planning Commission on items of interest to the public that do not appear on the agenda. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes. The Commission may not take action on items raised during public comment.
No, not you.
No. Okay, seeing no one, we will move to Section D. Is there a motion to adopt the meeting agenda?
Motion to adopt?
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? There was some last-minute correspondence. We'll go to F. Are there any corrections, suggestions to the minutes? Okay, the minutes will stand as read. So, with that, we'll go right to Section G, which is public hearings. First public hearing is the Highbell Ranch Vineyards Tasting Room. It's a consideration of a use permit to establish a wine tasting and retail business within an existing commercial space located at 1458 Washington Street, Suite 12. That's the Calistoga.
Thank you, Chairman Manfredi. Because of quorum tonight on this issue, we're asking that it be continued to June 10th.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we continue this item to our June 10th, 2015 Planning Commission.
Second?
You have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Excuse me. We'll go right now to the second public hearing, which is a zoning ordinance amendment, ZOA 2015-5. It's a consideration of a recommendation to the City Council regarding a request to rezone the property located at 33 Brannan Street from R2 two-family residential to R3 multifamily residential / office zoning district. So with that, may we have a staff report?
Certainly. Thank you, Chairman Manfredi, members of the Commission. This property was zoned from R2 to from R1 to R2 in 2003 at the direction of the general plan to create a higher density property. At that particular time, we didn't anticipate any development, so we were somewhat conservative in applying the R2 zoning district. Now that we've been in further communications with the Merchant family, we are learning that they have some interest in developing a multifamily project on the property. In order to do the multifamily project, they would need to rezone this property from an R2 zoning district to an R3 zoning district. The R2 doesn't currently allow multifamily projects. It only allows 2 single-family homes or a duplex. The R3 is actually more consistent with the high-density residential land use designation that's part of the land use element in the general plan. So we find that this is consistent. It's also consistent with the housing element that's promoting higher density housing on these properties where adequate water, sewer are available. So we find that it's also consistent with the housing element by achieving a variety of housing types. The only other thing I would want to point out is that per the municipal code, the Planning Commission needs to consider whether a development agreement is appropriate and forward the recommendation to the City Council. Our recommendation as staff is that this project isn't sizable enough to warrant a development agreement. We find that it's pretty standard as far as multifamily developments are concerned and would not suggest that the Planning Commission direct the City Council to enter into a development agreement. With that said, staff is supportive of the rezone for an R2 to an R3 zoning district, and if the Planning Commission has any questions, I can answer those now. Thanks.
Okay, do any commissioners have any questions of staff? Okay, this is a public hearing, so if you'd like to address the commission, Just give your name and address.
Okay. Daniel Merchant, 33 Brandon Street. And I just want to say I agree with the staff recommendation, and allowing a higher density allows us to both have an economically feasible project and housing in town, and in general for higher density construction.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no one else, I'll close the public portion. And are there any comments?
Well, just regarding the letter from Gary Garnage, it certainly I understand his concerns. Really, you do have momentum and precedence has been set. The favor of staff to move it to R3, and so that's inevitably where I'm sure it's going to go. It's just a matter of what we can do as far as conditions to sort of address potentially the traffic concerns. I mean, I've driven by there countless times, and there is obviously a lot of cars on the sidelines. So it would be good if we could find a way to sort of combine do what we need to do to approve this, but also address the concerns here as far as parking or what have you. I'm not exactly sure if we can do that here or suggest it or.
I think the best approach is, I think we're probably all in agreement that going to R3 is sensible.
Right.
Those issues will come up once there is an actual proposal.
Okay.
It would be difficult now to make any suggestions since
Right.
we really don't know. I mean, I agree with you. There's many cars.
Right. Right.
So it certainly will be addressed.
Okay.
I don't think tonight is the time. What we do need to, I'll ask you, do any of you feel we should pursue a development? Staff?
At what scale is it normal for a development agreement to come into play? 20 units, 30 units? Where is that dividing line?
Yeah, recently it'd be weighing out the cost benefits between the city and the developer. There isn't a line drawn in the sand that gives us a specific threshold. Usually it's something where we see a benefit out of it and the developer sees some incentive. And I think in this particular case, we can see that benefit and incentive if they start to provide affordable housing, which they've expressed that they may want to do to increase their density. So through providing housing that's affordable, the city's receiving something, and in exchange, they receive a higher density development. So I think we would achieve the same thing through the affordable housing regulations as we would through standard development agreement.
Okay. As long as that's possible, then yeah, I think we can
Okay.
dispense with
Yeah,
that.
I'm in agreement, and I talked to Eric and Lynn about this.
Okay.
Your exact point. Where
At
do
what
you
point?
decide? What do you?
Right.
But this is a relatively small project. But what's important is what Eric said. If they do pursue affordable housing to get, which would mean they would then get a bonus. At that point, staff could throw in certain requests.
Okay.
So it's
We have time to maneuver.
Yeah, so if they submit a request for a density bonus, you would receive an application for your consideration. And if they don't, you would still receive a design review application, making sure that they met all of the development standards, met the multifamily residential design guidelines. So there, you would have some purview over that particular application as well.
Okay, good. Oh, then that looks
Mr.
great.
Merchant, are you clear on all of that? Yep. Well, I guess our recommendation to staff is to follow your advice, not require or pursue a development.
Okay, thank you.
So, any other comments?
No, we desperately need this kind of housing, so good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's important, and that's what
Yeah.
I see the future. I was talking also with staff. It's got to make sense. Otherwise, I mean, housing is becoming beyond a disaster. There is none.
Right.
Okay, so with that, I will make a motion. Carl, why don't you make a motion?
I move that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution recommending to the City Council a request to rezone the property located at 33 Brandon Street from the R2 two-family residential to the R3 multifamily residential office zoning district.
A second?
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, well, the best of luck.
Danny, we'll let you know when this is going to be scheduled for city council. This is just a recommendation to the council.
Okay, now under H tonight, we have a general government issue, which is the General Plan Consistency Determination GPC 2015-1, finding of general plan consistency for the city purchase of 611 Washington Street, that's APN 011-260-027, for the development of affordable senior apartments. So, could we have a brief staff report?
Thank you. Yes, as you noted, the City Council has directed the city manager to negotiate the purchase of the property located at 611 Washington Street to pursue the development of an affordable senior apartment project on the site with the Corporation for Better Housing, who developed the apartments down the street here. The city's Affordable Housing Fund would be used as the funding source. And the California Government Code and the Calistoga Municipal Code require that the Planning Commission determine whether the purchase is in conformity with the Calistoga General Plan. As detailed in the written staff report, purchase of the subject site for the development of an affordable senior rental project would conform to a number of goals, objectives, policies, and actions of the General Plan's housing element. It would also be consistent with the land use considerations of the Lower Washington character area designated in the land use element, which encourage the development of rental housing in this area. Therefore, staff is recommending that the Plan Commission find that the city's acquisition of the property located at 611 Washington Street for the development of affordable senior apartments to be in conformance with the Calistoga General Plan. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, staff?
So because the city is part of this project, does that mean we're not going to have any surprises when it goes through be restricted to something?
That will be spelled out in the arrangement with Corporation for Better Housing, but that is definitely one of the reasons that the council was interested in participating, was that they could, help guide
Control.
what actually happens on the property.
Good, that was my question, so thanks.
The city would have an interest in the finished property then?
I don't believe so. But,
I don't know, but
the terms, we haven't worked out the terms.
as I
Or
understand it, would be
donation from the
It
general
would probably be a
fund?
tax
Okay.
credit project.
Okay. Well, every extra unit we can get
Yeah.
makes sense, especially for senior living.
And hopefully someone will build unrestricted units for families or workers sometime soon.
Yes, well, according to Eric, there is
Oh,
people are calling, wondering about the various lots left for
great.
just that kind
And now that the market's seemingly changing, we have been getting more calls. It's finding available land that's suitable
Right.
for that type of development is the challenge.
There was an article, I think, about Santa Rosa looking at how they do the planning and permitting process, and they're trying to make it easier for affordable housing. So we might copycat if they come up with something interesting.
Well,
Borrow
it's what Dan said is that it has to make economic sense.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, that's the key. So that's the city is going to have to work with developers
Yeah.
to see if that's possible. Okay, so I will make a motion. Yeah? I move that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution finding that the city's acquisition of the property located at 611 Washington Street for the development of affordable senior apartments is in conformance with the Calistoga General Plan.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Do any commissioners have anything they'd like to bring up tonight?
Yeah, I've got
Please.
the property at the end of Brandon Street is noticeably better looking, so whatever you did, you listened, so it's, who knows how long it'll last, but that's.
Still
that's,
needs a little more help.
It does, but it's an
We're working
improvement
on
on
it.
It's getting
the
there.
cluttered.
Yeah.
Some of the hair has been shaved off. I had another question. My neighbors on Gold Street removed 4 redwoods, literally 200 foot tall, a pod on their property. And I'm just wondering, in general, what the permit requirements are to do that. I mean, they literally had logging trucks come in, stacked
Really?
all the way up. Yeah, I mean, huge. It took them 2 or 3 days to do it, piece by piece by piece. But it was just towering redwood, just gone except for the stumps. Is that customary? Is it a
No,
challenge
no,
to get
there's-
that done,
there's-
or what do you have to? I mean,
The tree permits go through Public Works, so we don't know particular circumstances of why they were removed. But generally, tree permits are issued for the removal of protected trees with often mitigation fee and the requirement to replace them at a 3-to-1 ratio. I don't know, again, I don't know the
Yeah.
circumstances behind those. Usually there's a reason, whether it be dead, dying, or diseased, that give them reason to be taken down. And then
Okay.
sometimes because of development.
right?
But I can follow up with
Oh,
Public Works.
I
And,
was just curious.
Yeah,
It
no,
was
could you follow
such
up
a-
and send us all an email?
sure.
It was such a huge endeavor. I mean,
Wow.
scaling them.
Oh, it's just in
and
the last
piece by piece and giant
2 weeks or
cranes.
so?
Yeah, the last 2 weeks or so, and you can see that there's 4 giant trunks. I mean, maybe it was encroaching on the house. That could have been, and it was dangerous. That would make sense. But I was just curious. It's such a
Yeah.
huge.
I do know that
effort.
the removal was permitted because those permits come through Jill in our office.
Okay.
She's also a Public Works staff person. So we can overhear some of those sometimes, but I don't know the reason.
Yeah,
But I'll send an email to
yeah. Just curious. We're so conscious about placement and everything. All right, good. Thanks.
I have something.
Sure.
So congratulations to Calistoga Pottery for being the Chamber of Commerce Business of the Year.
All right. Woo! Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, that was kind of
And to Hearts and Hands
Stunning.
Preschool, it's the nonprofit of the year.
yes,
Excellent.
deservedly so. So there's a nice luncheon if you're free on June 22nd.
Okay.
They used to have a dinner, but this is much better.
Okay.
Nice lunch.
The Calistoga Inn, I think.
Yes. Do we have any director's report, or what's in the pipeline?
I would just like to report that the city council declined to adopt the proposed zoning code amendment to allow off-site ATMs. You may have read about that in
Yeah.
the paper. So we promptly sent a letter to the current property owner and B of A and the architect and the broker and everybody we could think of, saying that the current ATM is no longer legal. They would have to, because standalone ATMs are not allowed in the zoning code. So we've given them 30 days, I believe, to comply, and we'll see what happens after 30 days. That could take a while to reach the proper parties, but so
Can't
they
break
would
that.
have had to come back and apply for a use permit if it was integrated with another business, but since the ordinance amendment wasn't approved, then that's not a possibility either. So, yes, and they need to take their signs down also in our sign code. You're not allowed to leave signs up for a business that's no longer in operation. So we asked them to remove the signs as well.
Do we know if the building has sold yet, or?
It's still, I think they extended the deadline for the sale. So I don't think we've reached that deadline.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I will make a motion that we adjourn tonight's meeting until our next regularly scheduled meeting of
10th.
10th, 2015.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?